Hello again. I am preparing to do the multiplying polynomials 10.2, and hopefully you understood a few of the things that we looked at in 10.1, where we have different exponents, and we know those as degrees. Let's learn the proper terminology. We learned about monomials, which is just one expression. Trinomials would have three expressions, and polynomials is just the broad category. So we're going to be looking at page 575, and that is multiplying polynomials. And if I were to put this up on the board, I'd like for you to jot down on your paper what you think the answer to that might be. So I'll give you a couple of seconds. And my guess is that if I had you hold up your hands, and I will check in with you when we have our next live Zoom session. But if you were to hold up your hands, I would probably get this as an answer. That makes sense. I have two of these, so it's x squared. X times x is x squared. And then 2 times -3 is -6. But what if I told you that you're missing a giant piece of this, and you're missing what component? We have x squared and we have a whole number, but you are missing the x component. And really the answer to this should be... And so now you're probably thinking, oh great, something else hard and I don't know how to do it. So we are going to learn several ways to do this, and we're going to jump right into it. And the first way that they teach it, I'm not very fond of, so we're going to skip to the way that I think that you should learn it. So ignore example number 1. And we are going to be talking about a new method, and we have a new acronym. And so remember when we did PEMDAS, and hopefully everybody remembers. So take a second and think about what PEMDAS stood for. Remember, it's order of operations: parentheses, exponents, multiply, divide, add, and subtract. Well, we have a new one, and it is FOIL. Now, like I said, ignore the first one, and so you're going to ignore when it tells you in your homework to do this method or that method. You're going to ignore that first one. And we're going to learn the FOIL method. So I'm going to put that problem back up on, I think it was x plus 2 and x minus 3. Now, you need to be paying attention. And I think that the first and the last, so the F and the L, are going to be pretty easy. So the F is the first. So this is going to be the F, and this is the F. So the first components, and that's going to be x squared. And that's the F in the FOIL method. The outer is going to be this and this. So the outer limits, think about the outer limits of the universe. Over here is an outer limit, and over here is an outer limit. So these guys are the outer limits of the universe. Think about that. They're the furthest on that end and the furthest on that end. So outer limits, and I'm going to have x times -3. Don't forget the negative. That's going to be minus 3x. Now, if this was outer limits of the universe, what might I mean? Well, if you just shouted across the airwaves, inner limits of the universe, then I'm extremely proud of you. The inner limits are going to be these two. 2 times x. And then you do the last. So this is an L, this is an L. And so then you're going to have minus 6. So FOIL, F, is the first two pieces in each of the parentheses. O is the outer limits of the universe. So if you like science fiction, Star Trek, all of that, then you should be really happy with that. The I is the inner limits of the universe. We are just beginning to explore the inner limits of our universe. The two pieces right next to each other, inner limits. That's 2x. And then minus 6. So then we have to combine things. Remember in 10.1 we talked about combining everything of like degree. Well, there's no other x squared, but there's a couple of these. Minus 3x plus 2x is going to leave us the minus x minus 6. And there you are with your quadratic equation. And remember, I told you in the last chapter when we were talking about methods to find the solutions in our quadratics, I told you there would be a third method that would pop up in chapter 10. And it has to do with these guys right here, the two segments in parentheses. So be expecting that. So this is not so hard. When you put it all together in the quadratic and then you have to separate it out, then it gets a little harder. All right, so I want to practice with these. There is one more method. I will show you how to do it. You might think it's a little bit easier. All of these different methods that tend to confuse me a little bit, and I prefer students to just do the FOIL method. So I want you to practice, and I want you to do number 4 of the checkpoints, x plus 1, x minus 4. And I want you to use the FOIL method. I'm going to leave it up here on the board. I want you to pause the video, and I want you to do that one, actually do number 4 and 5, and then we'll do them both on the board. So pause the video. I'll leave it here, just pause it, and you'll be staring straight at it. And then you can do your two problems. So if you're back, I assume that you did the two problems. And so I'm going to leave FOIL up there. And now we are going to do the two problems that I asked you to do. We have x plus 1, x minus 4. And we're going to do FOIL. So we're going to do the first two. We end up with the x squared. So this is f and f. Then we have to do these middle pieces. We have the outer limits of the universe. And x times negative 4 is going to be minus 4x. Then we have the inner limits of the universe, and that is going to be plus 1x. And finally, we do the two last elements, 1 times negative 4. And that is what you get, negative 4. But we're not finished there. We have to combine any of the like exponents. Well, we don't have any other x squared, so he's on his own. But we have negative 4x plus 1x. You owe me $4. Now you have 1 to pay me back. You remember all that? And then the negative 4. So don't get lazy on those negatives. Okay? Hopefully that's the answer that you got. X squared minus 3x minus 4. I will tell you this is my favorite part of the year. I love doing the FOIL. I love doing the factoring that we're going to be doing shortly. All right, let's try number 5. 2x minus 3 and x minus 1. Now, if you didn't understand this when we were going through it, I hope you're following along. And so we begin with the two firsts. It's like these are both the firstborns in the parentheses or something like that. So 2x minus x is going to be 2x squared. Then I have to do the outer limits of the universe. 2x minus 1 times minus 1 is going to be minus 2x. Then the inner limits negative 3 times the x. Please do not, if you think you're going to forget them, encase them so you don't forget. And then finally, we're going to do the last two. And this is going to be really important. That negative 3 times that negative 1 is going to end up being positive 3. The last thing, so there's a couple of steps here. The last thing to do is put these two guys together. There's no other x squareds, but minus 2x minus 3x is going to be negative 5x plus 3. Now, let me just tell you a little secret about what's coming next. And I don't tell you this so that you'll have nightmares. But remember how we do a lot of things and then we have to do it backwards? Well, guess what? Just in a few days, I'm going to hand you an equation like this, a quadratic equation. And I'm going to make you figure out the parentheses. So be warned. So be starting to think about, okay, how would I figure out, if I've got this, how do I break it into two parentheses? And I want you to start, if you have forgotten how to factor, I want you to look up a YouTube video tonight on factoring. And I want you to watch it. And if you do that, tell your mom or send to me yourself that you looked up a video on factoring. And give me some examples of factoring, and I will give you extra credit points for doing that. So just hone up a little bit on your factoring skills, because now we're going to be factoring with big old fat equations. So be warned. I'm just warning you of that. All right, let me show you one of the other methods. Again, FOIL is my favorite. I don't, well, here's where it can be helpful. So take a look at the next one, and we have 5 plus 3x minus x squared times x minus 2. And so it makes it look a little harder because we have 3 components in in the quadratic, and we only have 2 in the other. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put them in order. So the 5 plus 3x minus 5 plus 3x minus x squared. I'm going to put that in order. Remember, I told you you need to put it in order. So I'm going to put the negative x squared right there, plus the 3x, plus the 5. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to stack it as if I were doing a multiplication problem. So if I were doing a multiplication problem, and I have to do 4 times 4 is 16, 2 times 4 is 8, 3 times 4 is 12. And then I have to do the other one. I put the 0 here. And 6 times 4 is 24. 2 times 6 is 12. 14. And then I add it all together. Do you guys remember how to do that? Well, that's what we're doing. We're just doing it with equations. And so I'm going to take the x minus 2. And again, I put it in order. And now I am going to multiply. So you can see how they progress through that. So we're going to ignore this guy. We're going to ignore the x. So let's ignore the x. I'm actually going to take him off of there so we don't have to look at him. And we're going to do the negative 2 times all of these. So negative 2 times that one, negative 2 times that one, and negative 2 times that one. So then I'm going to end up with negative 10. Negative 2 times the 3x is going to be a negative 6x. Don't forget to pop those signs in right along with them. And negative 2 times the negative x squared is going to be a plus 2x squared. All right. I think we got the same thing. Yep, we did. Well, I can't ignore the x forever. He's got to come back on the scene. But now I'm going to ignore a negative 2. Now I'm going to multiply times all the pieces with the x. But look, in your book, they put a 0 here, just like you do when you're multiplying whole numbers. Okay, and that's mostly just to give a place or just to give a place here, because I am not going to have, all of these are going to be x elements now. So x times 5, it's all positive, it's going to be 5x. X times 3x is going to be 3x squared. Remember, I've got an x to the 1 and an x to the 1. And what do I do when I multiply those? There you go. You add them up. X to the first power times negative x to the second power is going to be negative x to the third power. Then I'm going to combine all of these. And I'm going to have negative x to the third. Sorry, I've got a little motorcycle rider. Negative x to the third. I've got plus 5x squared minus x, because I've got negative 6x and a plus 5x, minus 10. There would be my final answer. I don't know if you can see that. So let me, I want you to be able to see that. Okay, so hopefully that's just another method for doing it. You are welcome to, I am going to have you do 2 of the checkpoint problems. So I want to have you do number 7 and number 8. Example number 4 is just doing everything horizontally. Again, I don't like all these different examples. If you're going to do it, either do it this way or do it the FOIL method. But I want you to do 7 and 8, and then I will work those out for you. So pause the video and work those, please. So hopefully you got those all worked out. I'm going to do one of them. I'll give you the answer for the other one. So I'm going to do number 7, x squared plus 3x minus 2. And again, make sure you check to see if you wrote everything correctly. Times x plus 1. We set it up just like a multiplication problem. And then we take one number at a time. So first I'll take the 1 and I'll multiply it by everything. So 1 times the negative 2 is going to be negative 2. 1 times the 3x is going to be a plus 3x. 1 times the x squared is going to be a plus x squared. Now I ignore the 1 and I work with the x. X times, and I'm going to put that 0 there. X times negative 2, negative 2x. X times 3x is going to be 3x squared. And x times x squared is going to be x cubed. Sorry, I didn't save any room for him. And so your final answer will be x cubed plus 3x minus 2x. Don't forget that negative 2. And that's your final answer. So you're welcome to do it that way. Number 8, the answer is 4x cubed minus 7x plus 3. If you did that one and didn't get the answer, please feel free to contact me and I would be happy to work it out for you. I've been working out a few problems for you guys. If you've had questions or you just weren't sure how something was dealt with, just send me the one question. I can include it in going over homework and or just send the answer back to you. Just a reminder, we will be doing a Zoom session at 11 o'clock on Wednesday. This is to cover the new material, and this is where we're actually going to break out into those parentheses. We're going to be doing some factoring. So we're going to actually skip 10.3. We're going to do 10.5 first and then 10.4. So be ready. You can even take a look at those lessons ahead of time. But I will see you at 11 o'clock on Wednesday for Zoom. There will also be a video on this. So if you are stuck, you will find a 10.4 and 10.5 video up there. But I want you to watch 10.5 first. So I will see you on Wednesday.